This week, we are hitting the road and we're talking about some iconic road trip destinations where the journey is just as important as where you are going. We're going to talk road trips, iconic road stops, scenic routes, and so much more. So buckle up, everybody, because we are literally logging some RV miles.
But not literally, because we're just right here, but you know what we mean. Chances are you've seen them on the road. That's because Blue Ox designs and manufactures the best towing products in the industry. Just look around. You'll find them on highways, in campgrounds, and anywhere you find people traveling in the great outdoors. From award-winning tow bars and base plates to a full line of weight-distributing hitches, adjustable ball mounts, and now they have fifth-wheel hitches too. With Blue Ox, towing doesn't have to be a drag. Visit blueox.com for more information. Harvest Host is a membership that allows RVers to take a rest from the road and enjoy unlimited overnight stays at over 5,100 unique locations in North America, like breweries, farms, attractions, wineries, and much more. Easily plan and book your next RV trip and enjoy over $1,500 in exclusive member benefits by joining Harvest Host. Get 15% off your first year of membership with the code MILES. That's MILES. Go to harvesthost.com to become a Harvest Host member today. Welcome to episode number 343 of RV Miles. I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby, and we are two RVers who, along with our three boys, have been crisscrossing all over North America on one epic road trip since 2016. Here at RV Miles, we talk all things RV and outdoors, from industry news to travel destinations, national parks, road trips, and so much more.
We are getting ready to head to Kansas City for Thanksgiving holiday, so we're doing the thing where we hit the road on the worst travel day of the year.
Mm-hmm. We do the thing where we say don't do the thing.
The day before.
But honestly,
I like it.
Listen.
I enjoy it.
Honestly.
As long as I'm not like, back in Chicago, when we lived in Chicago.
That was a deal to try and get out of the city.
Getting out of the city, yeah, that could be an issue. When you don't live in a big city anymore, after having lived in one for a long time, you hear people talking about the traffic. Oh, the traffic all the time. People talk about traffic around here all the time. Like there's posts in like the local Facebook groups about, oh, don't cross the bridge today. The traffic's real bad. I have never seen what I would call traffic here ever.
Never
ever, except for like a construction zone.
Never come to a stop anywhere in the city.
If you don't come to a stop, it's not traffic.
Is it even traffic?
Waiting for a light, like a second round through the light, that's not traffic. Okay, you're all right. But it is a busy traffic day, right?
You sound like a Hallmark movie. You don't know, the big city guy leaves the big city because they're like, you don't want to go back to that big city. There's traffic. You want to stay here in the small town and help us save the apple pumpkin Christmas tree farm. There
will be a lot of people on the road, though, on Wednesday and when we return on Sunday. But I do enjoy that. I like going to the gas stations, and it's like a hustle and bustle. There's lots of people there. It's a communal thing. A lot of people are doing. Of course, it's more dangerous, so we got to be careful about all that when people are dumb on roadways, because they get a little bit of road rage in what they would call traffic.
And you seem incredibly calm right now, so I think you're gonna be great on the road tomorrow. I'm clearly driving tomorrow. That's clearly happening.
Not at all.
But no, it's exciting. There's the hustle and bustle and the festive nature of it all. Everyone is, even though Jason says everybody's grumpy, everyone's actually in a really good mood. you're going somewhere usually to spend time with people that you really enjoy being around, we hope, anyway. And it's the kind of the kickoff to a really festive time of year, at least around our house.
That's a nice way of putting it. Cynical people will be like, you're sitting through traffic to go visit people that you don't want to visit anyway.
I love my family.
Eat a lot of food. And
I love my family. I'm baking 3 pies tonight. There's a lot going on. I'm probably going to stick a Hallmark movie on while I bake said pies.
Very excited to go see your family. It's going to be a fun little short trip.
Yeah.
And Kansas City's not too far for us. It's sort of a half-day drive, so it's not bad, and we're
Not at all.
excited to get going, minus all the preparation for going.
Absolutely. And we thought, what better time to talk about a road trip than when we're all getting ready to road trip to different parts of the country right now for the holidays. But also, this time of year is when a lot of people start thinking a little bit about their 2025 travels. Maybe that's just dreaming of, is this the year we get an RV? Or maybe this is the year that we take that big road trip that we've wanted to take. Or for some, it's, oh, I've waited too long. It's already November, December. Everything's going to be booked. What is the point? Well, for those of you who feel that way, we have a couple of suggestions today that are going to kind of get you away from maybe where everyone has already booked and is going, that can still offer you an incredible adventure out on the road with your RV.
So we're talking about scenic drives in general, not just scenic drives, but just routes in general that have lots to offer, mostly for RVers. But some of these are going to be sort of like the big routes that you might take in an RV. And some of them are going to be scenic drives where you're going to stay at a campground and go drive separately. You're not going to necessarily take the RV on that drive. But these are just different ways to explore the U.S. from the road.
So we're going to start off with iconic routes. Okay, there are just some routes in this country you got to do, or routes. Depends on how you want to say it. Depends on how I'm saying it.
Depends if you're saying Route 66 or
Exactly.
not, because nobody says Route 66.
No, it's literally if I'm saying I would like a pecan or I'm having a pecan pie. Those are two very different things. So we are going to talk about you just mentioned it, the very top iconic road trip route you need to go, and that is Route 66.
Yeah.
So before we do that, though, we have a little mea culpa here that we have to address.
Yes.
There is a 100-pound elephant in this room.
We've been saying that next year is the 100th anniversary of Route 66 on many different things, here, there, social
and
media,
everywhere.
wherever. It's not next year.
Nope,
it's the
we're
following
wrong.
year.
We're wrong.
It is
1926.
the same year as the, and I know I got this one right because the year is a 6. Okay. It's the same year as the America 250, America's 250th birthday.
Good job.
1776 to 2026. That one's correct. I know that.
Do you think maybe again, we should look into this more. Maybe they planned it for that Route 66 to open up on the 150th anniversary. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
But it is going to be a big year for people to do sort of that kind of travel where either they're looking for some of the American history sites or they want to travel Route 66 in 2026. So all the better reason to do it in 2025.
Yeah, if you want to get in on this road while it's still just in double digits, then you want to go next year during its 99th year. And this is one of those roads. So this is going to go from Chicago, Illinois. In fact, I worked for several years at the busiest Bennigan's in the world, right next to the sign that said, here starts historic Route 66. It was literally the sidewalk that this restaurant was on, downtown Chicago.
Don't take your big old RV to the
Don't
sign.
do it. No, you don't do that.
If you're in like a camper van or something, sure.
Even if your camper van is sitting at Adams in Michigan in Chicago, you haven't made a good choice that day.
Speaking of traffic.
It's not a good choice. Not a good choice at all.
Yep.
It is going to end in Santa Monica on the Santa Monica Pier. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to go from Chicago to Santa Monica to say that you have driven or spent time on Route 66.
This is the important thing for all sort of scenic routes. I think people want to have that sense of completion.
And I'm one of those people.
That they did the whole thing. But you don't need, if you live in, Texas or something and you want to go drive half of Route 66, that's okay. You don't need to feel like you have to do of course, if you got the whole time to do it, great. But if you don't have the time to do it, don't do it. Do some of the more beautiful or interesting parts to you. Now, the thing about Route 66 is most of it doesn't exist anymore. Route 66 has actually been decommissioned for quite some time.
Yes.
It's mostly I-40, right? So there are lots of, you can get some maps on this and stuff, and lots of places where the old Route 66 is sort of like the business route through some of these old downtowns. And then there's some really beautiful areas in Arizona where you actually are on a separate drive from the interstate. But Route 66 to me today is really about all of the sort of towns and unique weird roadside attractions along the route and some of the national park stops and all that sort of stuff. But it is an eclectic mix of things, and it is not what a lot of people expect the first time they do it.
Yeah. And in fact, we have a few, for some of you who've been around for a while, you know that we were producing the See America podcast for a couple of years. And actually, we have a few episodes. All of See America is still available wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you're listening to RV Miles. And we have a few of those quirky roadside attractions. Wow, that is, say that 5 times fast. We have a bunch of those that you can go back and kind of listen to, like Cadillac Ranch. We have an episode on Cadillac Ranch. You can go and learn about that. We have driven parts of Route 66. And I would say one of my favorite sections of it is where Winslow, Arizona, Petrified National Forest.
Yeah, it goes
or Petrified National Park.
It goes through Petrified National Park.
I love that
if you
place.
take like the proper route, it goes through Petrified National Park. So it's a really great stop along the route. And there's actually like an old car that's in the park that's sort of like deteriorating in the desert.
But we've done that. And one of the things about Petrified too that's really great is it is, in our opinion, one of the times you can really say that you can do this park in a day and you can feel like you have really gotten a great representation of what this park is all about. And it's very easy to drive through with an RV. So there are a couple options. When we were there last, we actually parked our RV and unhooked in the parking lot and then just took our minivan through. It's been that long. We haven't been through there since we had Bussy. But if I had like Bexy with us, if I'd had the Ibex, I would have just driven.
There aren't a lot of great parking areas for an RV within the park, but at the visitor center. And there's enough, again, that if you've only got an afternoon to devote to this, or again, you can do like what we did. You can park, you can unhook. If you have a van, that you're fine. Enjoy, especially because
through.
It's a drive-through. There's no excuse to not do it unless you're trying to cut that whole portion of the route out and save the time, because you literally just drive through the park and come out the other side. Yeah. But you said that we haven't done the whole thing. We have done.
Oh, we did
all of Route 66 except San Bernardino to Santa Monica. But we've been everywhere on Route 66.
And we've
done the whole thing.
To Petrified since Bussy. We were back in the Sabre.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot all about that until
we've done the entirety of the route.
Yeah. So we've done the entirety of the route, but it has taken us many, many years.
Yeah, we didn't do it all at once.
No. And I would say some of my favorite parts of this route, like if I was to just pick a section of it to do again, would be the New Mexico, Arizona, California portion. No shade, of course, to my friends in the South or up in the Midwest, but those go through, to me, a little bit more national park focused, a little bit more outdoor focused. That is, but again, those are just some of my favorite places to be in the country, is sort of in that Southwest corridor. So this is a great route. Even if you can only grab a section of it as you're on your way to do something else, this is something everyone should have. If they're an RVer, they should spend a little bit of time on Route 66 at some point.
Next up is the Pacific Coast Highway, the PCH, up through California and up the Pacific Coast. So this is probably, to me, one of the most beautiful areas in the world.
Oh, it's stunning.
When you're driving along that coast in California and then even up beyond and up through the redwoods and everything, it is just incredibly stunning. Now, the thing about the PCH is it's not incredibly big rig friendly in many, many places.
Yeah, we won't be on that for a while.
But that's okay, because you can take the interior routes and you can still go visit the PCH and take portions of it. And there are portions of it where it will combine and all that sort of stuff that you will take. But you still can visit the coast all the way up by taking the interior routes. But if you are in a smaller RV, you definitely can take PCH. The one thing to know with it is often sections are closed due to mudslides or the road just falling apart. falling into the ocean.
Yeah. He's not kidding. Literally.
Mudslides end up covering the road often and have to be cleared. And it takes months or years to clear them. So depending on the year and the time, there can be various sections of the PCH closed that are very that you're just going to have to work around. So you're never going to be able to complete like the whole thing. But there are lots of great campgrounds on the route. There are lots of campgrounds that are right on the ocean. Wonderful places to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go back and look at our Baja to Alaska podcast collection, and there's going to be a whole section of that is on the PCH. So you're going to be able to kind of see where we stayed, how it was driving. We were driving it through with the truck in a 25-foot RV. We had absolutely no problems whatsoever. But if you are listening to this, and even if you're watching it, you can go back, you can find all of those past episodes and kind of see what our experience was like on this highway. It is truly beautiful. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do it during that time when we had the smaller RV for sure.
A summer, which is essentially what we did, but a summer that goes from San Diego up to Seattle.
Yeah. We did ours in the spring.
An incredible trip. Yeah.
And that was, I would caution maybe a little bit of that early spring, late winter, early spring is what we did. And it
gets cold in the Pacific Northwest at some point.
The cold is fine. It was really it was the rain. Yeah. At that time we had that atmospheric river that was just unending. And I know that that's happening again right now in that collection of the area. But boy, that, talk about roads being closed.
Next major iconic road, we should say here, we're not going to there's going to be some that we're not covering here. Okay. So don't say you left this one off.
We love them all.
We're trying to cover ones that we at least know about and have some experience on, and
variety.
A few others as well. But
sorry,
next one
friends.
on the list is the Blue Ridge Parkway. So the Blue Ridge Parkway goes between Shenandoah National Park and Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And it experienced some issues during the last hurricane that hit North Carolina, where lots of stuff got shut down. Lots of these areas that have never been hit with anything like this, right? Mm-hmm. Closed a lot of the Blue Ridge Parkway. It has slowly been reopening, but this is a beautiful drive through the Blue Ridge Mountains. It is the most visited National Park Service site in the country.
Well, it's known as America's favorite drive. And it really
is. And
it's
again,
so beautiful.
You don't have to do the whole thing. No. If you're just visiting Great Smoky Mountains National Park or Shenandoah, you can just, go out and go in one day, do, 50 miles one day, 50 miles back or more, right? It can be a gorgeous drive. You don't need to do the whole 400 or 500 miles of it.
And a pro tip on this one too is one of the things we talk about a lot. Pack a dinner and do the drive later in the day. And there's plenty of places to stop and have a picnic dinner. Stop and have a picnic dinner and get that beautiful end of day golden hour with the sunset followed by, driving through and driving home during the blue hour. It's so gorgeous. The mountains, they just sing at that time of day. It is spectacular. It's a really, truly beautiful drive, whether you're up near closer to Shenandoah or you're down near the Smokies. There's just not a bad leg of this drive. But as Jason has mentioned, it's going through some pains right now with some damage that was done. So, if you're thinking about this for next year, just try to stay up on what's happening there, what is and isn't open, and make sure, that they're ready to receive all of us back on this road and within the communities in and around it.
This is another one that's not totally big rig friendly. There are tunnels and big switchbacks. So there are challenges for bigger, taller and longer RVs. But again, you can go around and then pop in and take portions of it if you would like. And even though it is the most visited National Park Service site, it's never really super, super busy.
There's never been traffic.
You can still stop at, as opposed to like going through Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where you might have a hard time going to some of the scenic overlooks. You're usually not going to have a problem stopping at a scenic overlook along the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Nope. All right. So the last sort of iconic one that we're going to talk about is Highway 1, the Florida Keys. Now, this is one we have not done. We have not done
I have done it not in an
50%
RV.
of us have not been here.
And Highway 1, of course, goes down the East Coast, right? There are lots of gorgeous things. It's not the same thing as the PCH.
No.
Along the route. A lot of it is a little bit more interior, but there are a lot of cool places. I'd say it's more like Route 66 where there's a lot of cool places to stop. But once you get down to the Keys, Highway 1, it's incredible to me because when you're out on some of these, it's bridge between island, bridge, long bridges, right? Several miles long bridges. And you look out and you've got the Gulf of Mexico to your right, and you've got the Atlantic Ocean to your left, and the road going between them, and they're different colors. They're gorgeous colors, but they're different colors.
That's cool.
Absolutely wild to me. And there are some RV parks in the Florida Keys. And you might not want to go all the way to Key West. That's a long way, but you go to Key Largo and there's lots of RV park available. It's hard to get to some of these parks, to get a reservation at some of these parks, but there's options there for you.
I feel like when we're in our van life stage,
Absolutely.
This is where we're going. So we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer for RV miles to cover RVing in the Keys.
If you're in a van,
we're in that van life.
You could, or if you're in a big rig and you don't want to go into the Keys, you can stay in an RV park on the mainland and then drive into the Keys just for the day and back. It's about 3 hours, I think. If I remember right, to get all the way to Key Largo to get all the way to Key West from the mainland. So you might not want to do the whole thing in one day, but you can do half of it for sure.
Well, if we ever get impatient, that's what we'll have to do.
RV Miles is sponsored by etrailer.com. Let's be real, some people are just plain hard to buy for, but eTrailer's got you covered. At eTrailer, they know that the right gift can make someone's day, but figuring out what that is, well, that's the tricky part. That's why they've done the heavy lifting for you. They've handpicked their favorite products with one goal in mind, making your holiday shopping easier. They're not just any gifts, they're recommendations from their own team, enthusiastic experts who know trailers, towing, and outdoor gear like the back of their hand. Forget hunting for the perfect present or second-guessing your choices. With their 12 days of deals, they'll deliver not just discounts, but the solutions to your gift-giving headaches, because who needs more stress during the holidays? They're happy to help you get it done, find the perfect gift, and skip the hassle. Make the season merry, simple, and maybe even a little fun at etrailer.com/gifts.
This episode is sponsored by the folks at RV Life. The RV lifestyle is about community, and the RV community is at the heart of RV Life. RV Life recently celebrated the 1 millionth trip planned with RV Life Trip Wizard. They're excellent trip planning tool for RVers, featuring all the trusted reviews, pictures, and tips from their RV Life campground site. RV Life also features several blog sites and over 20 additional RVing forums to serve the RV community. All this experience and community feedback come together to help create a fantastic RV trip planner and mobile navigation tool collectively called RV Life Pro. RV Life has marked a milestone of over 3 billion miles traveled using RV Life Pro, counting both the planned RV trips and ad hoc navigation taken with the included RV Safe mobile app. Get 25% off RV Life Pro at the link in the description for this episode.
Let's talk about something that's a little bit more off the beaten path, maybe ones that aren't the top that everyone thinks of when they think like epic road trips that I have to take. And so the first one, and I know, it's off the beaten path, but it's certainly one that we all know about, especially if you have spent any time in Utah, and that is Highway 12. And this highway is what's going to connect you from Bryce Canyon to Capitol Reef National Park. It's really one for those who do the Utah Mighty Five or who have that sort of in their back pocket as a road trip. Highway 12 is going to be a part of that experience. I have always wanted to do the Mighty Five. We have not been able to do that yet. Yeah. And we didn't talk about this on the last episode, but when we were talking about our travels last week on the show, we were going to go to Moab. that we had put that on the list. We wanted to go because we wanted to hit up Arches.
We've been to Moab for like 3 days.
An overnight.
It was just an overnight?
Just an overnight. We were just
was,
passing through.
We didn't have time to do anything. So,
No.
And a lot of people, when they visit Arches, they just come in through the north and go to Moab. And they visit Zion, they come in through the south, and they don't take some of these interior routes, which are absolutely stunning in the state of Utah.
Yeah, and this is one of those. Highway 12 is spectacular. It's remote. A lot of the Utah Mighty Five, one of the reasons for the longest time prior to us having Starlink that we couldn't really do this from the road was because of connectivity issues, because we were still working and we had to be able, and the kids were still doing school, we had to be able to be connected. And so Starlink has really, again, like with Alaska and Baja and all of that, it's really changed the places that we are able to go. But what deterred us from adding Moab to our trip and going to Arches and going to Canyonlands was the cost. It's incredibly expensive, even at a state park at that time of year, to go and visit there. I think the state park we were looking at was going to cost us.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to boondock.
But then you run that risk because it's a popular time of year. That's the best time of year to be visiting these parks. It's the shoulder season is the peak season for these places because they get so hot. In the summer. So you have a lot of people like us thinking that this is where we want to go. And so, yes, there's a lot of boondocking, but we knew that we were going to be boondocking with a bigger rig. And that is always kind of like, are we going to find somewhere?
I mean, I think, for me, the reason it ended up dropping off our trip is it was kind of the outlier that kind of took us out of our sort of circular route. And it was going to add... something had to go. Our trip had too many things on it, and that was the thing.
And when we started pricing that, it was kind of easy. It was a little bit easier to let that one go when we started pricing what it was going to cost for us to spend even just a week there. And so, and for one like me who loves a good like travel list, that just goes back on my desire to want to do all of the Utah Mighty Five and Highway 12. So, we've only done one of the five. So we're just, again, like the Keys, we're holding on to that. Maybe that's when we're in our van life.
Next up is the Enchanted Circle Scenic Byway in New Mexico. So this is in the northern portion of the state. Takes you up through Taos and several other destinations. You can go to the Angel Fire RV Resort in the Taos area, and there's just a lot in that portion of New Mexico that a lot of people don't visit. New Mexico, no secret, one of our favorite states. There are lots of wonderful places to go.
Might be my favorite state.
But the places to go that people think of when they go visit New Mexico are places like Carlsbad Caverns and White Sands National Park and Santa Fe. And they don't think about some of the other areas, and they don't realize that New Mexico is such an incredibly varied state in its topography. Mm-hmm. You've got desert, you've got mountains,
and everything in between.
And everything in between. And the mountains are really an underrated portion of New Mexico. You can also do the Turquoise Trail. You can also go down to Silver City and up to the Gila cliff dwellings. Lots of beautiful mountainous areas down there.
A lot of National Park Service sites there too. So it's not just the couple like Jason just mentioned. It's not just a White Sands. It's not just a Carlsbad Caverns. There are so many. There's Bandelier. Bandelier is one of our favorite National Park Service sites, period. Not only for the cliff dwellings that you can go, but there are some incredible hikes. They have so much land that encompasses Bandelier National Monument. It should be if we wanted to give it a designation, which we don't need to, but if you wanted to, it's easily a national park. And it is one of our favorite places. There's, again, the Gila cliff dwellings. I mean, there's so much
there's a
there
lot
in that
of scenic
state.
routes that we could offer up in New Mexico. So check out all the different options that you have there. Mm-hmm. But the Enchanted Circle is certainly one that not a ton of people do. And the other cool thing about New Mexico is there are places like this drive that are going to be great in the summer. So for those of you that can only take big road trips in the summer and you don't want to go down to the hot heat of the lower portions of New Mexico, you can stay up in some of the higher
Elevation.
elevations.
Yeah. So the next one on this list is one that is pretty near and dear to our hearts.
It's right there.
It's literally right out this door. So if you were to take this, it would bring you right past us in the Mile Zero studio. And we would love to meet you and see you and give you a little tour. And that is the Great River Road. And that is going to be the road that follows the Mississippi River. We have been on this numerous times. I mean, we drive portions of it every single day, but we have been to the top of it where it starts up in Minnesota, and we have been to the bottom of it where it ends in New Orleans.
Yeah. And the cool thing about the Great River Road too is that it goes on both sides of the road. So there are two different sides you can take. So say you live up near Minnesota or something, or down in Louisiana, you can take the whole route up one way and the whole route down the other way, or wherever you are. If you're going to you can do a little loop on it. So you're not necessarily visiting all the same stuff. A lot of people don't realize how incredibly beautiful the Mississippi River Valley is, especially from here where we are in northern Illinois, sort of begins just north of us, where the big cliffs start to come in all the way up to Minneapolis area.
Yeah.
There's just some incredible scenery on the route. We particularly love Effigy Mounds, which is a National Park Service site that has some trails that get you up to some bluffs overlooking the river. We love the town of Dubuque. The National Mississippi River Museum is one of the best museums that we have ever been to in our lives. And heading all the way up and down the river, because the river is, it's highly industrialized along the way. Obviously, it is a water highway essentially for barges. The Army Corps of Engineers runs all the lock and dams up and down the river. So there are tons of Army Corps of Engineer campgrounds. There are tons of state park campgrounds, lots of government-run campgrounds for cheap, all the way up and down the route. More in a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by our friends over at RVmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding. If you're looking for a new mattress for your RV and you're trying to fit all those odd sizes, the camper king size, which is in between a queen and a king, or the short king and short queen because you got a shorter bed platform, or weird different bunk sizes, you can find them over at RVmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding. Brooklyn Bedding is a real mattress company that makes all kinds of mattresses for your home and more, but they have this special portal called RVmattress.com where you can find all these specific sizes for your RV, and they are great. We have them in both of our RVs and in our home. You just get them sent to you wherever you are. You open up the box, you let them expand, and Bob's your uncle. You're sleeping on your new mattress that night. RVmattress.com offers a 120-night sleep trial. Their mattresses are toxin-free, and they're shipped to you wherever you are from their factory in Arizona. You can get 30% off your next purchase over at RVmattress.com/RVmiles using the code RVmiles at checkout. You might see them offering 30% off for Black Friday or whatever it is, but you being an RV Miles fan, you get 30% off whenever you use that code RVmiles at checkout. That's RVmattress.com/RVmiles with code RVmiles at checkout.
So those are just a few what we consider off the beaten path. But again, they're not ones I don't think, maybe New Mexico might be surprising to a few people, but I don't really think that the Great River Road is going to be something that someone's going to go, what?
I think a lot of people don't think about it as an option. I think a lot of people think, a lot of the Midwest stuff is boring, and they don't realize that most of the stuff that you think is boring is interstate.
No, I just mean I don't know that there's I don't know that we can really use the word hidden gems anymore. I'm not really sure. Maybe there are some still hidden gems out there, but I think now social media and the amount of people that are out there camping, all of those things are fine. I think have helped bring awareness to places that probably when we started podcasting 7 years ago, we would have been able to call some of these hidden gems. I don't think Highway 12 is really a hidden gem so much anymore. I think there's definitely a few people that are highly aware of it. So the next ones we want to talk about are maybe some adventure-packed roads, right? So they're going to lead us to places that are pretty iconic here in this country. And the first one, of course, is going to be Going to the Sun Road. We have not done this. This was, again,
to everybody that has.
Yep.
But so
we're the last RVers on the planet. And this was one that we had on for 2025, and we had to cut. We had to edit.
This is so this section is mainly going to be routes that, or at least a lot of them are going to be places you're going to park and then take a car or take a tour. So Going to the Sun Road, you don't have to drive this yourself. You can get in, one of the park shuttles and do it that way without having to drive these sort of heavy, steep drop-off cliffs that a lot of people are very uncomfortable with.
You're really selling it to me here right now.
In fact, most people aren't going to be able to take an RV on this, depending on the size. You're not going to be towing on this. You might be in a small camper van or something, but this is a route that you're going to want to, if you're towing, you're going to want to take your tow vehicle on only instead. But of course, this is also one of those routes that is on the National Park Service's list of places where you have to have a reservation, right? This is there. People have been saying a lot to us lately. Oh, I don't go to national parks anymore because it's too hard with all these, entry reservations that you have. There are very few places that actually have that.
Also, fine. That's more space for me. Thank you.
So as long as you can get one, this is a fantastic thing to do. But again, you're just not taking if you're only driving around in a Class A motorhome, you're not towing a car behind you, anything like that, you're going to want to take one of the tours because you're not going to be driving your motorhome. Yeah,
this isn't a road I want to be stuck in traffic in. Okay, so I don't mind that they don't just let anybody who wants to come in consistently, and there's a ton of congestion on this road, and there's nowhere to park, and I'm stuck in traffic sitting there, and I got to pee, and there's nowhere I can go. Like I don't want that. So I think it's great.
One of the greatest things as the camping season begins, actually it happens well after the camping season begins for most of us though, is in I think late May or early June. I think it's not till early June when you actually see video of them plowing going to the Sun Road.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's incredible. It is. These plow drivers deserve friggin' medals of honor. They're
brave humans.
Wow. It's incredible to see them do this and to know where the road edge is.
All for our enjoyment. Just a short while later. So the next highway or the next road, and this is one we have been on, and if you go back all the way to 2020, you'll be able to hear us talk about our experience on this, and that is the $1 Million Highway in Colorado. So the $1 Million Highway is going to take you through the San Juan Mountains, the San Juan National Forest, and it's going to it connects Durango to, I believe, Silverton to Ouray.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We did Durango and we drove all the way to Ouray and treated ourselves to the brewery that's in Ouray, which highly recommend. There's also some great hot springs there. There's some great places to eat. It's a great little town.
So we did this in our truck when we were staying in the Durango area. Yeah. We just did a day drive up and down it. You can take an RV on this route. It's not fun. People do it. Lots of people do it because it's one of the only ways. It's a long way around if you want to go north to south in Colorado on the west side.
Truck drivers
you either have to do that or you got to go like up through Utah. But we do see lots of RVers take this. The scary thing for me as somebody towing is not necessarily the drop off side.
Yeah.
It's the rock face on the other side. So you've got the drop off going, on one side, depending on which direction you're going. I suppose if you're going southbound, it's on the passenger side, right? But if you're going northbound, you are up against that rock face. And I I had so many times just in the truck was nervous that I'm going to hit something over there, and towing with a swing on your trailer with a tail swing, it concerns me. But as Abby said, semi trucks do this. This is a truck route.
We have sat in the hot springs in Ouray as evening has fallen and looked up into the mountains and just seen the illuminated lights coming off of trucks as they are coming down.
I think a lot of truck drivers don't want to take it during the day because of any traffic on it. Because when you hit some of those curves, there are just times that you have to go over the yellow line.
They're blind. They're blind turns sometimes too. You're just going around the bend and you're not 100% sure what's going to be on the other side. And, I think driving it without the rig, I'll give another reason besides if you're just uncomfortable with sort of the close proximity, or you're not, uncomfortable with that, is we were able to do so many stops along the way that we wouldn't have been able to do with the RV. So we were able to stop at that beautiful waterfall, remember? And we had that really great family picture taken. And those are things you would have to bypass if you were towing something or if you were driving your RV. Maybe you could get away with it with a really, really tiny little RV behind you or with a van, maybe. But I know that even we were doing this with our friends and their dually, and I know even for them getting into some of those parking lots that we stopped at to experience these pull-offs was a challenge for them. So that's one of the benefits to driving this highway, to have a base camp and then spend a day taking this drive. It's worth it to be able to make those stops and experience the sheer and full beauty of the $1 Million Highway. There's a reason why it's called the $1 Million Highway. Today it would be called the $1 billion Highway or trillion.
It's not for the cost of it, because it certainly costs more than $1 million. Yeah. It's the $1 million views. Yeah. And
now it's the $1 trillion views. So what is another one? So the Denali Highway in Alaska, of course. I would throw Top of the World into that mix too. That is any of those highways that you going into Alaska. Those are absolutely spectacular.
Basically anywhere you drive up there for sure.
Is just, it's a commitment to get there, but it pays off with these drives as you're moving through the state. So our final adventure route is the one that's going to take you through Echo Canyon, which just so happens to be in Utah, which also so happens to be the location of the RV Miles High Desert Hangout happening May 1st through the 4th.
Yeah, you could take the Provo Canyon drive up from Salt Lake City if you're coming up through Utah, and then end up on 189 up through Echo Canyon, where we are staying on the near the Echo Lake Reservoir. Is it a reservoir or is it just a lake? I can't remember. But we are having our meetup there, and it is going to be a lot of fun. It's
our very first sort of official hangout. We did kind of one of these back in 2021, and then we rolled into doing our more formal, bigger events called Homecoming that happen every September, October in Amana, Iowa. This one is an opportunity for us to get out into the West and access all of you that are out there that we very rarely get a chance to connect with, but also do it in a way that's really small. It's not as organized. It's not as big as what we do with Homecoming, but it's just a way for us to spend 3 days together at this really awesome RV resort that's going to have a zip line and a rope course above the campground for the kids and this beautiful river that goes through it, plenty of amenities for us to enjoy, but then also a chance for us all to relax in a really small environment. We only are going to have about 15 campsites available for this total event. So it's going to be, again, very small, an opportunity for us all to get to know one another. We'll have coffee morning chats. We'll have campfire evenings. We'll have potlucks. We're going to do a rig crawl again. Perhaps we'll get to go into town. There's a distillery not far from the campground that I'm kind of talking to right now about maybe hosting all of us for an afternoon or an evening. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The campground's really excited to have us. The tickets are going to go on sale December 2nd for mile marker members, and then January 6th for the general public. It's $40 if you're a mile marker member. It'll be $50 plus your camp fee for both mile markers and the general public. You'll have your ticket, and then you'll have your campsite price as well. And they're going to be giving us a discount at the campground for everyone that's attending. So you can go over to rvmiles.com/hangout Utah. You can get all the information that you need there, including how to become a mile marker member, access this discount, but also access the free 1-month trial we have going right now through the end of the year to become a mile marker member, to come over and see what mile marker membership is all about and what that support over there is doing to improve the quality of content that we're making for you here at RV Miles. We have a live stream that's coming up on December 2nd. Jason's going to be decked out in his most festive wear. It's going to be incredible. It'll probably look like something similar to what he's wearing today.
Oh.
A green sweater.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be it. But we have a lot going on over there. We'd love to share it with you. And you can access that free month trial. Learn more about the High Desert Hangout at rvmiles.com/hangout Utah. So we've covered a lot of road trips, scenic drives. But what are some tips, having done several of these ourselves and kind of learned the hard way maybe, what are some tips that we can offer from our perspective of what it's like to do these with an RV and what it's like to do them without?
I think you need to plan, obviously, any scenic drive, any drive that is not on the interstate is generally going to take you more time than you think it's going to. So you need to have planned the time to actually do the route.
Yeah.
And along with that goes reserving your campgrounds accordingly. So you need to reserve them in a way that gives you the time that you need to do this. What is nice about some of these drives is that, yeah, you can shoot through them. You can do Route 66 in 3 days. It won't be fun, right? So you want to spend some time in different areas and know that you've got the time to stop at some of the fun, kooky roadside attractions and that you're not frustrated because you don't have time to stop. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, this whole episode is about the journey and not necessarily the destination. So really take that to heart when you're looking at doing routes like that we've talked about today. Like, really think about, like, where are places I can stop? And if you've got the RV with you, spend a little time to make sure that some of those places you're interested in will be able to accommodate you. They may not always have parking for you, and that would be such a bummer to build this thing up that you wanted to do and then to get there and realize there's just nowhere for you to go,
like
right?
If you're doing a trip on Route 66, say you're coming from Illinois, from near the beginning of it, if you want to end it in, like San Bernardino, instead of, spending time in LA and going through to the Santa Monica Pier and stuff, do that. Don't feel like you've got to be pressured to do that sort of stuff. So that comes into play when it comes to the amount of time you spend on these trips. Is if you go back to the beginning, and what we were saying at the beginning is, don't feel pressured that you have to do the whole thing. You can certainly then add more time in to do the things that you really do want to do.
Yeah. And of course, please drive safely. Make sure that wherever you're going, it can accommodate if you have the RV with you, if you have a dually, just kind of be aware of what the road is going to look like from point A to point B. And that also includes the weather. So make sure whatever you're doing, whatever time of year it is, that you're not going to find yourself in any kind of extreme weather that you're not prepared for. And then being prepared also includes packing for activities too. Bringing food with you. Pack up that cooler if you don't have the RV. Pack up a cooler. Bring meals. Prepare to stop somewhere and have a blanket with you, a picnic blanket with you, or maybe, bring your hiking boots along, or just have things that if you come across something, bring your bikes, right? Like if you come across something and you want to do that thing, have the stuff there that you can enjoy it.
A lot of like scenic overlooks have the parking area. You can get out and see whatever the scenic overlooks. But a lot of them have like a short, 1/10 of a mile trail to the really cool part, right?
Yeah, there's a really good one. When we stopped on the Blue Ridge Parkway, we were up in the parking lot and we did our little picnic dinner on some grass, just sort of right by the truck. But then there was a really wonderful hike that took us down sort of into the canyon, down the mountain a little bit, to this gorgeous waterfall. And we went down there, we walked over the bridge. It was so quiet down there. Hardly anyone went down there. And it was wonderful. And we hung out down there. We were able to sit on the rocks and just enjoy the sound of water just rushing. And it was lovely and quiet for our family. And then, I think that also sort of goes into probably our biggest and final tip is if you can consider traveling off season a little bit on some of these roads. We did this Blue Ridge Parkway. This was, I believe it was early spring. And so it was still pretty quiet around in that area. And it's nice.
It's not quiet in the fall when the leaves are changing there, though. That's for sure.
No, it's not. I mean, but some of these drives too.
But you have to know what the shoulder season is, because the shoulder season in your hometown is not the same as some other destination. So you need to know what it is. Like Utah, it's not going to be spring and fall. That's the busy season, right?
And hey, our Northeast friends that are listening to this, we didn't leave you off this list because we don't love y'all. We just haven't, we haven't been up there yet. So we're looking to you to maybe drop in the comments of this episode here on YouTube or come over to the RV Miles Facebook group and share with us, help us learn so that when we get to plan our trip finally up to the Northeast, we will have all of these wonderful roads that we should be trying to get onto, or others as well. Help all of us learn what are some beautiful things about the Northeast that we have not been able to share today in this episode. All right, before we run off, bake pies, eat pies, and just enjoy and be thankful for the holiday season that is coming up, it is time to check the level of our tanks. And as always, this is sponsored by our friends over at Liquefied RV Toilet Treatment, the no BS toilet treatment. Find them over at liquefiedrv.com or on Amazon. Jason, what is in your black tank this week?
Have you seen this video of this RV exploding on the Pennsylvania Turnpike?
No, I have not.
It's at like a service plaza on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and this was caught by a trucker's dash cam. And
hold on, it just explodes.
Watch. You folks at home aren't going to get to see this, but you're going to get to hear Abby's reaction to this.
Okay, McKenna's going to tell me all about this.
Gone. Snap. Boom. Gone. That was an entire RV just disappeared.
What happened?
Incredible. So what happened apparently?
I mean, that literally blew up tiny little pieces.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see like the actual RV before it gets exploded, but you see sort of the all the shrapnel go into the dash cam. And then there's an after shot of it, and I'll share the link to this in the description. But it just is. So what happened was there was a propane leak, and a cigarette ignited it. So make sure your propane detectors are working. Those things expire. They should start beeping when they're about to expire and tell you to replace them. That doesn't mean just disconnect it because it's making noise and there's something wrong with it and I'll figure out later.
But also it could beep while it's in storage and you don't know.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of our biggest dewinterizing tips is you go and just change all the batteries. It doesn't matter, just change them.
But there is a reason your propane detector in your RV does not run off of a changeable battery like your smoke detector, specifically for this reason. So it's a combo propane carbon monoxide detector that is in all RVs that have been built since I don't know when, but if you've got one on the road today, it probably has one unless it's something from like the 80s or before. So you can always put one in yourself. But they are connected to your house battery and they should start beeping when it is time to replace them. I think they have a 5-year life. And then you have to replace them. Make sure you have one that is working. Do not block it. And
do you know if anyone was hurt?
There were injuries. Nobody died. Wow. 2 people were hurt.
Wow.
So
I mean, that's something to be really thankful for because just the footage of that, and I'm sure Jason will overlay it if you're watching this, but we'll drop a link as well in the description on the podcast. But just watching that and how everything went bright orangish red because you knew it was blowing up, and then the tiny little pieces that just flew onto the front end of that truck and in front of that truck. It is amazing that nobody died from that.
Yeah, it's not like a fire has started and maybe I have a little time to get out. That was an instantaneous scary thing.
Wow. I have to keep going, don't I? Okay, what is in your fresh tank this week?
My fresh tank this week is some new data from the Department of Commerce's Bureau of Economic Analysis. This is the organization that tells us how big of a part of the economy different industries are, right? So the outdoor recreation economy, folks, camping, biking, fishing, hunting, skiing, anybody experiencing the outdoors, including, the trips you take, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're
the person participating,
buying an RV,
yes,
is part of this. Your lodging, your food, and all of this is a participant of the outdoor economy, right? So the outdoor recreation economy is a $1.3 trillion economy. It is larger than pharmaceuticals. It is larger than household utilities. It is larger than farming in the U.S. It is huge, and it has grown 36% since 2012. So there has been just this incredible boom in the number of people experiencing the outdoors. A lot of that had to do with the pandemic, right? A lot of us found the outdoors through the pandemic, or at least started participating in it more through the pandemic. But it has definitely grown to be a very large, very important part of the U.S. economy. So I think that's great. It's also come with a lot of challenges, especially for protected public lands and for people's access to lands when it comes to things like overcrowded parks and tough to get reservations and all that sort of stuff. But on the whole, I think it's a great thing that people are utilizing the outdoors a lot more than they did at one time.
100% agree.
All right, what's in your black tank this week?
So my black tank we have rolled out of political season where, at least here where we live, it was just constant ads.
As a reminder, we live on a state border.
Yes.
So we get the ads for both states, politicians. Get all this,
yes. So we have now rolled into the season where we are just flooded. We went from political ads to now we are just flooded with perfume ads. And could we talk about for a second, why are they so weird? Why don't I understand what is happening when you dive into the pool while a tiger runs through the Sahara Desert and then children swing on swings and then you tell me Dior.
Or Johnny Depp playing the guitar in the middle of
what? Why is Johnny Depp even still schlepping for
the thing
Savage?
About Johnny Depp is
what is happening?
Has anybody ever looked at Johnny Depp ever and said?
I used to look at Johnny Depp all the time. Thank you.
But have you ever looked at him and said, "Man, I bet that guy smells good."
Yeah, he smells like Savage.
Because I think most people, especially during a large period of his life that involved lots of drugs and vomiting on himself, I imagine he didn't smell very good.
So,
but I think one day somebody was just like, "Well, we can't we can't make you smell the perfume. So we're just going to be ridiculous."
And Charlize Theron, walking through a room, just of all gold. I don't know. it's like, I mean, I love it's sort of like the piece of art that just recently sold. I think it was for like 3.1 or 6.1 million. I can't remember how much it was.
With the
banana with the duct tape.
Yeah.
And it's called The Comedian.
I think you're right. I think you're onto that's what it is about perfume, is that, why does one perfume or cologne cost, $300 while the other one costs $20? The difference, I mean, obviously there's going to be some differences there, but the vast majority of it is marketing. Yeah. Right. It really is.
So
marketing.
I have to go back to Johnny Depp, because I have to tell a Johnny Depp story really quick. And then I can't believe I have a Johnny Depp. I have 2 degrees of separation between me and Johnny Depp. So my brother, I've talked about my brother a few times on the show. Yeah. He is a tour manager, a drummer. And so he often goes out and is a tour manager for bands like Garbage and Foo Fighters and Jimmy Eat World. And he was out with a particular band. Anyway, Johnny Depp is a huge fan of this musician. And they had a show, and my brother was in the dressing room with the performer. And it was my brother's birthday. So it was June 1st. And he's in there with her, and the show's about to start. And Johnny Depp is coming to the show that night. And so, of course, he wants to come to the dressing room, wants to come back, and he wants to, talk to her and whatever and hang out for a little bit, because, that's what they all do, because he's a musician. And so he comes back, and for whatever reason, it becomes known that it is my brother's birthday. Okay. Johnny Depp decides that he is going to a cappella sing happy birthday to my brother, who he just met in the dressing room of this musician that he's a big fan of. And Jason has to stand there while Johnny Depp, who, according to my brother, really can't hold a note much anymore, a cappella awkwardly sings the entire happy birthday.
I love that you throw acapella, that like we don't all sing happy birthday acapella.
But just imagine, there's a cake involved. And
he didn't have an accompanist. He's gonna.
I don't know about you, but I always travel with an accompanist. Like if I'm going to perform, I got a piano, they're waiting right there. I say, oh, give me the key of C, please. So Jason has to stand there.
Her brother's name is Jason.
My brother's name is Jason. So Jason has to stand there and take this entire happy birthday number from Johnny Depp. And just know that my brother, this is not anything.
This is not what he's not the person that wants this. There are lots of people that want that.
Jason is not fazed. There is nobody that could walk into a room that would bowl Jason over. He is just not, he's been in the industry long enough that none of this stuff phases him. And he just was like, it was awful. And he said that Johnny Depp was awful, and it was very awkward in the room. And then he just had to be like, thanks, man. Thanks. I'm 42 years old, and I just got sang happy birthday by Johnny Depp. So somehow I started off talking about perfumes, and like most Fresh Tank Black Tanks, it just leads us down a path. And 2 degrees later, I'm connected to Johnny Depp via the happy birthday song.
What's your Fresh Tank this week?
My Fresh Tank this week goes to all of the small businesses out there that are going to kind of be vying for our attention this holiday season. So if you are out traveling, if you're a full-time RVer and you're out and about this holiday season and you can think about it, I know how easy it is for all of us to just order from Amazon, have it sent to wherever we're going, have it sent to our campground. We all, go do that Walmart pickup or that Target pickup, which I have talked about my love for that Target app over and over again. But if you think about it over the holiday season and you are going to be gifting to friends and family, coworkers, people in your life that you would like to share a gift with, if we can all think about finding that local boutique, finding that local coffee shop, finding that local bookstore, we have been really fortunate over the last few months to kind of encounter some really lovely local bookstores. And oftentimes local bookstores will not only have a really great curated collection of books, but they will also have like some really wonderful gift accompaniments to those books. That could be stationery or puzzles, maybe some games, beautiful pens, beautiful notebooks, journals, things of that nature, right? That can kind of help enhance a gift. And so I want to say with my Fresh Tank, I know for us this year, and this is something we have been trying to do a lot over the last several years, is again, we will look to gift our kids experiences for Christmas this year as opposed to more things. They have plenty of things. So
that's small business Taylor Swift.
That's small business Taylor Swift. Listen, hey, I went and stayed at a small business hotel. Okay. So,
yeah, well, and I think too that, there are a lot of local small businesses, but if local doesn't work for you, a lot of small businesses are online and there are a lot of options. If you got an RVer friend in your life, you buy them a season's supply of liquefied.
There you go. Like 100%. Just be like, here's all the liquefied you could ever need, right? I just think if you have the ability and the thing, that the person is seeking, or that person would really appreciate something like that. I guess more quality over quantity is something that I have really had to learn over the several years, especially of being a parent at the holidays. That stocking's got to be full. Not only are we doing, the gifts that come from mom and dad, but of course there's the gifts that are going to come from Santa. And, all of that pressure to make the holidays magical, I've really had to learn that from our family is not what makes this time of year special. And so that is just something that I'm working really hard on. And I think that for me this year will really start with, again, experiences for our kids, and then trying to fill in as much as we can with local small businesses across the country.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the RV Miles podcast.
Yes, it is. And just a couple of reminders, speaking of a small business, if you would like to come and take a free 1-month trial of the Mile Marker membership, you are certainly helping this small business here meet its goals in 2025. You can learn more at rvmiles.com/milemarkers. And then our High Desert Hangout is happening May 1st through May 4th. And you can learn more about that at rvmiles.com/hangoututah. But until next week, friends, we're so thankful for you. Thank you for spending your time with us each and every week. We absolutely love being able to do what we do here at RV Miles. And as you travel this holiday season, please stay safe and keep logging those RV miles.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.